Welcome to the Mindful Educator podcast. This is a place to come if you're seeking calm amongst the chaos, transformation and personal shifts, inspiring conversations, and practical advice to help you build a more balanced and fulfilling life. Come join me, your host, Victoria R. I'm a mum, teacher, coach, mindfulness instructor, multi-business owner, and city-turned-country girl, and I'm sharing the lessons I wish I had known sooner. Let's take this journey of personal growth and meaningful change together. All right, hello, welcome to the Mindful Educator podcast. I'm so excited to have Kristi McVee joining me today. And Kristi is a child safety expert. So welcome, Kristi. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, love it. And I've been actually really excited about chatting to you because the work that you do is just so important. And I know that so many people listening are going to benefit from hearing this. So I thought we'll just start with you just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do, essentially.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. So I was a West Australian police officer for 10 years. I joined the police in 2010 and I had a 2-year-old at the time. So completely went from, maternity leave to becoming a police officer. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I thought, oh, I could do that. I think once you become a mum, think that like it's a pretty empowering process to become a parent. So
Yeah.
and then whilst I was in the police, I became a specialist child interviewer. So I used to interview children who had been abused, both sexually, physically, etc., and had witnessed crimes. And then I became a child abuse detective after 4 years, or became a detective, but then specialized and put my hand up to go into child sexual abuse investigations and abuse investigations. And I pretty much did that. I did a little bit of detective work on non-child abuse, but kept going back to it. And then towards the last 2 years of my career, I predominantly did child sexual abuse investigations, interviewing kids, investigating cases, arresting offenders, and then also managing child sex offenders when they were released from prison. So very child abuse centric. So that's yeah, it's wild when I think about it. And then I left in 2020 when I actually got PTSD, as you could imagine, after 10 years of listening to stories like the ones that we know exist in the world. And when I came home from the doctors after being diagnosed with PTSD, my then 11-year-old, nearly 12-year-old said to me, I don't want you to do this job anymore, Mum. You're not the mum I remember. And so
Oh,
my mental health was really poor, and she felt safe enough to tell me that she didn't want me to be in that space anymore. And she meant more to me than any job that I ever did and will ever do. So I went the next day and resigned basically. And that was 6 years ago. So when I left the police, I thought I was going to be a personal trainer. I thought I was going to work in gyms and help people get fit. And then COVID happened, everything got locked down, and I started writing. Well, actually, I started writing a book before I left the police, thinking, if parents knew what I knew, they would do
mm,
so differently. And why can't people see the red flags? Why can't people see grooming? Why don't they understand what these people are doing? I could see it, but they couldn't. And then, yeah, so I started writing all of that down. And then by 2022, I had a full book and I released that, self-published that book, and then started talking about this pretty publicly on social media. And it's just grown and grown and grown. And to now here I am, 6 years after the police, 16
mm.
years down the track, and I talk about this all day, every day.
I know, and I think this is the thing, like it's an incredibly uncomfortable topic for a lot of people to think about. So the fact that you're then able to kind of give us as parents and educators and all the rest of it some ideas as to what's going on, I think that's just so beneficial because a lot of people aren't aware of what to look out for. So where would you start? Like, what would you say would be kind of your first kind of signs that something isn't right with the children?
Yeah, I guess it's a twofold thing. Like, it's not just the children. I mean, people who want to harm children, predators, for instance, they actually groom adults first. They don't,
Right.
they very much groom their environment and their adults around them. So it's not that they just see a child and start talking to a child, because if you can imagine, that wouldn't go down very well. So they
Mm.
have to become friends and have to become close to the adults or the people in surrounding the children or child. So, and I mean, most people don't know that over, close to 90% of all child sexual abuse is by someone known to the child. So it's not a stranger, for instance,
Mm.
which is what I was taught as a kid,
Yeah.
watch out for the white van and someone give me, you know, don't help the person at the park, look for their dog kind of thing.
Mm.
That's what we were all told, but it's
Yeah.
actually 90% is someone known to the child, and it can be a family member, a friend, another child who can abuse a child. So it's, I think that's the first thing we need to get our head around is that it's not going to be someone that you don't know. I mean, there's still that 10% risk that a stranger, could harm a child, but
Yeah.
it's more likely to be someone known to them. So that's the first thing to get your head around and to
Yeah.
get good with, because it's not everyone, but it can be anyone. And predators don't, they choose families and children based on how close they are, how protective they
Mm.
are, whether they have conversations with their kids about body safety, and whether they teach their children bodily autonomy and it's okay to say no. And so some, and this was the other thing that I saw all the time. Some perpetrators can be in a family unit. They're a family member with lots of children around them, but they
Yeah.
select this child over here and
Yeah.
this child over here because the other children have good conversations, relationships, and protection around them. This child and this child, they might not have that same amount of protection. So it's not all children that they can move within their family, friends, whatever, and be picking kids off based on whether they are close to their parents or their caregivers, whether
Mm.
they have the knowledge and whether they're naive or not about body safety, whether they understand that, whether they speak up about things like, confident kids, empowered kids, kryptonite to most
Yeah.
predators. I'm not saying all, but most predators won't even look at them because they are, that it increases the amount of chance that they could get caught.
Mm. Yeah,
So
because that they've got that confidence to actually say something when it's not right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, there's research around this. There was in 2019, there was a group of researchers that, interviewed prisoners in a Queensland prison, and they were child sex offenders, and they asked them what stopped you from offending against a child. And they said the non-compliance of the child. So that means that the child put up some resistance of some description, whether they said, no, this is my private parts, I'm going to tell my mummy, whatever it was, the child put up a resistance, so they backed away and moved off, and
Right.
obviously targeted another child, right? So
Mm.
from my perspective, that tells you a lot. And that's 84% of them said that. So 84% of it was the child saying, no, that's my privates. I'm going to say something. We don't keep secrets in our family, all the
Yeah.
things we teach in body safety, whatever it was. And then the 16% was the protective parents. So the protective parents stepped in, said, hey, that's inappropriate. Hey, no, you're not allowed to spend time with my child one-on-one. What are you doing? Kind of thing. That's not safe. So, it really comes down to then they're only going to target the children that are easy and won't get them caught. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Mm.
so for me personally, when I think about, when I see that these people generally make themselves very, that they're very like, I can do anything. I can help. Do you want me to take the kids? Oh, I can see you struggling.
Mm.
Oh, I don't mind driving them home. Like they're super helpful. And if you're a exhausted, tired, stressed parent with multiple children trying to get them everywhere, that of course you're going to take on that support if it's offered to you, if you need it, right?
Yeah.
And that's only, and there's no shame in that at all. But these people, they make themselves so available. And there was this FBI profiler, I can't remember, I think his name is Jim Clemente. He's created one of the shows on TV called, I think it's FBI, or like one of these shows, right?
Yeah.
Profiler, or I can't remember. Jim Clemente, he was an FBI profiler on in real life, and then he created this TV show. And he said, if anyone wants to spend more time with your child than you do, that's a red flag. So, like I get that, I get that some people do love spending time with kids, but there comes a point where you go, nah, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Um,
Yeah.
even all us as parents, like we're like, mommy needs time out.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, but these people, they never run out of energy for kids.
Mm. Okay, well, that's good to know because, yeah, I think I'm aware that obviously, yeah, statistics have shown that it is usually people that are close to you. And I think that I was the same as you. We grew up, the stranger danger, all the rest of it. So, as well as, it's still important to teach our children that. Obviously, it's also important to have these open communication and conversations and stuff as well. So, what
Yeah.
would you suggest for parents and educators to start doing with their children if they haven't already? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so I mean, look, the first thing that I was taught when I became a specialist child interviewer is that they target kids who don't have that protected parent and they don't have bodily autonomy education or body safety education. So I started teaching body safety education to my 2 to 3 year old. I started talking about these are your private parts and naming them the correct
Yeah.
terminology is really important for all children to have because a predator or a groomer will use nicknames as a way to gamify abuse because we don't, kids don't know what they don't know. If they've never been told that their private parts are this is their name, and a lot of families still have a lot of shame or secrecy around private parts. But when we make it so obvious that this is my private part, no one's allowed to touch it,
Mm.
then the secrecy goes and children know, like they just know and they can call it out and they can speak about it. But what really frustrated me or what really upset me was that there was kids who had been abused and they were so like unsure or scared to talk about what had happened to them because it's not normal. We hadn't normalized, or the parents or families hadn't normalized talking about their private parts in detail, right? They hadn't talked about and used the correct terminology. And so when as an investigator, you're trying to get a child to talk about the fact that someone has touched them there or abused them and they can't say it out loud because there's all this shame around it.
Mm.
Smaller kids are a lot better at it than teenagers, for instance, because teenagers, they've grown up with no one's allowed to talk about it. And then, there's a lot more shame there or a lot of more embarrassment as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, first thing I would do is talk to them and be honest with them about their private parts. They're just body parts, no different to a knee, nose, or a foot. They're just body parts. And then,
Yeah.
secondly, I would talk to them about early warning signs and giving them the language of what it feels like to feel unsafe. So the
Mm.
thing about our bodies is that for most of us, and us as adults as well, we've got intuition and gut feelings. We talk about these things, right? What we need to really be good at is that understanding that our gut feelings, our intuition, our early warning signs is what we call it to kids, is our body knows before our brain catches up, and our
Mm.
body knows when it feels unsafe. And so a lot of kids will say things like, I have a tummy ache. My body doesn't feel good. I don't, I've got a headache. I've got sore knees. I like my knees are shaky. My hands are sweaty. Whatever the sign is. And that's basically their body giving them a warning sign. It might be for nothing because we do have, like when we look at the spectrum or the continuum of safety, we've got safe and unsafe at either end. But
Yeah.
in between that, we also have fun to be scared and risking on purpose. So fun to be scared could be going down a slide, could be going on a roller coaster, could be jumping in the deep end of the pool. That's fun to be scared because once we do it, it's fun. We get adrenaline, we feel good about it, right? But in that moment before we do that thing, we feel scared, our bodies feel scared.
Yeah.
Same with risking on purpose, standing on a stage, talking in front of the class, doing something that you haven't done before, that first lesson of flute or piano, or going to that sports team that you haven't played with before. That's risking on purpose. You're doing something that your body tells you is scary, but it's actually you're doing it because you want to do something different or you want to try something new. So yeah, we've got fun, we've got safe, which is I feel warm, safe, and it's my happy place,
Yeah.
and then those two in between, and then unsafe. And that's when we need our kids to be able to understand all of those things because just, one of the things that I taught my daughter was sometimes even when, anxiety shows up as fear, as being scared, right? So, all of us have some range of anxiety over something. And so, how I taught my daughter when we were going through that continuum, she had that language by the time she was 5, 6 years old. She knew that sometimes she would feel scared, but it was actually not real scared. It was just, I'm going to do something hard. I'm
Yeah.
going to do something new. And so you're able to talk it through with them and help them understand that it's okay to feel scared. Your body just is tricking you. And then, but the real fear, the real scared, we pay attention to that. We can still talk it through, but what is it? And sometimes you don't understand why. And sometimes kids don't understand why they feel scared. They just know that this person doesn't make them feel safe. And that's when we pay attention. So that's the early warning signs that we teach. And then the next step to that is, who do we talk to, or who do we talk with if we don't feel safe? And or who do we talk with if we need comfort and support? So we help our kids find 5 people that are on their safety network, their safety team, and those 5 people are people who will listen to us, believe us, and make us feel safe again. And the next step to that, which is just for adults, is they'll do something about it. So whether it's, take action, make sure that child isn't with that person alone, they're always supervised with that person, etc. But for kids, they just need to know that the people that they choose on their safety team are people who listen to them, believe them, and always make them feel safe. So, they get to choose those when they're little. You help them choose them, but at some point your child needs to be able to decide who they are, because we could be helping them choose someone who's not safe for them.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well. Because, yeah, if we're kind of being groomed as well and not realizing, then that's a
Right.
really important
Yeah.
distinction to make there.
Yeah.
Very
So,
interesting.
so yeah, and then, like there's teaching them secret versus surprises. There's teaching them about, the body safety rules. My body is my body. No one's allowed to take a photograph or video my body, or ask me to touch their private parts. If anyone does, this is what we do next. We go and seek help. We go and tell someone when we can, if we can. Sometimes, the thing is the children who knew this stuff and had safe parents and adults in their lives, they got help quicker. So I can't say that teaching this stuff will 100% protect your kids from abuse, but when they had that information, when they had that supportive, protective parents in, just needs to be one, but at least someone, then they were able to get help quicker and heal quicker. Whereas the children who had nothing like that in their curriculum or in their, knew about it and didn't have safe people to go to, they were the ones who lived with abuse for years and years and years. So I think, yeah, it's just one of those things. I just can't see any bad reasons not to teach it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is where, yeah, it's just so important just to, I suppose, yeah, have inform the adults, let them know that, it's actually really simple to teach this as well. It's not anything overly complicated, is it? It's not,
And
it's
I'm
not like
not
we're trying to
talking
teach
about
them.
abuse. I'm not saying, hey, if anyone abuses you, or if anyone I'm not even, and this is what I try to remind parents, is that when you teach body safety, you're not talking about abuse at all. You're teaching
Yeah,
them a system, or some, well, body safety is all about lessons that help them understand their bodily autonomy and their safety. Like,
yeah,
literally, everyone has the right to feel safe. Everyone has the
mm,
right to speak with someone about anything. The thing that predators do really well is they convince children and adults, but children, that they don't have rights to their own body, that they don't have rights to talk to anyone, that the only person that they can rely on is them. That, when they groom children, they literally drive a wedge, depending on who it is, but drive a wedge between the child and all their other safe adults. So the
yeah,
child relies, before abuse happens generally in person, but they will drive a wedge between the adult relationships that they have and the person and the child. And so the child now, you know, they start by love bombing them and making them feel good about themselves, and bringing all of this, treating them for things and making them keep secrets, small secrets to begin with, and then it becomes bigger secrets. For little kids, it can be giving them treats and letting them do things that mum and dad might not let them do, or one parent versus another. They build this like wedge between the adults and the kids. For adults, how they build a wedge between that adult and the child is they will potentially put the idea that the child lies or is, going through something. Oh, because we might see behavior changes in children when they're being groomed, for instance, because they're getting given all of this stuff over here, and then this parent or this person over here is not allowing it. And so there's big tantrums and blow ups, and this person's in the middle going, oh, look, I can, I've dealt with this before. I know how to help. Let me go and talk to little Kristi and see if she can, make it feel better, and then they're driving that wedge deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're getting the child to keep secrets, and then they're making the other parent or the other adults think that this child is just going through something. And so
Yeah.
if the child does speak up, oh, now they're lying, they're fibbing. How could you talk about that person like that? Like they literally are uh that devious, like
Yeah.
it's because they don't want to get caught, right? Who wants to be caught for that? So they're going to
Mm.
make it so that no one believes the child and everyone thinks that the child is playing up and misbehaving.
Gosh, it's yeah. When you explain it like that, it's like you can see how all these moving parts can kind of end up in that. Oh. So one of the questions I did have, like obviously when it's actually happening in person, it's quite yeah, obviously you've explained how that happens, all the rest of it. What about the whole online space? Because that's kind of like a whole new realm that I know for me as a parent, it's a bit mind-blowing trying to navigate all this as well and the gaming and all the rest of it. So how would you
Yeah.
approach it in that regard?
I mean, look, our kids are under attack everywhere they go,
Mm.
really.
Yeah.
And when you add it to the online world, we've got 7 billion people in the world or 8 billion people. A good 80% of people are online. There's lots of billions of people online. So when you hand your child a device, you're giving them access to everyone who's actually online. And
Mm.
so, uh, you know, it's very quick. Online grooming is very quick because when we sit behind a device, there's this thing called there's a phenomenon. I don't know. It's like a psychology term that's like the online disinhibition effect. So because we're sitting behind a computer screen or a device, it basically doesn't feel like real life. So
Mm.
as a young child, it's like it is a game. Like mostly they're gaming, right? So
Yeah.
they're gaming, they're talking to their friends, and suddenly a stranger pops up. And so a stranger is just someone we've never met before, and that's what there's a saying that I like that. But online we've got millions and millions of strangers, and for the predators online, that it's like fishing for them. They basically throw the line out and see which kids react. So they're going to how it works for our kids is they're just doing their thing with their friends. Someone comes into their DMs or friend requests them, says, "Hey, you're really good at that," gives them a compliment and makes them feel good about themselves. Oh, want to play another game. Now, the thing that is really interesting in psychology for this stuff is that within a game, it takes when children play a game, online game with other people,
Yeah.
it naturally breaks down that defense mechanism of this is a stranger, and within minutes, they believe they're friends. So
Yeah. Right.
within online gaming, it's really fast. And the predators know this. They know that they can break kids down very fast with gaming. So they will game with children on Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, whatever they're playing, Grand Theft Auto, whatever it is. So
Mm.
that they will go around playing games with other kids or with kids, pretending to be children.
Yeah.
It depends on the age group. Some predators will have multiple accounts, multiple personas online, and they will pretend to be kids and adults and see which one the child talks to. And so they are coming at them from multiple places. And so our kids are really under attack. It's literally like shooting fish in a barrel. They'll approach 100 kids, 5 or 6 might talk to them. That's who they target. If your child is aware of grooming and understands grooming a little bit, then they are less likely to be caught out. But even people who know this stuff get caught out on a regular. I
Mm.
mean, 1 in 2 children are approached by a stranger every day. And
Yeah.
so,
Right.
it increases the risk tenfold. If they're not playing within a contained group of people they know, if they're
Yeah.
not talking to a contained group of people they know in real life, that's the distinction. They think that they know them because they've spoken to them online. This is where predators are really good at breaking kids' defenses down, breaking down their inhibitions, is because kids look at online like it's not real life. There's no
Mm.
police. They don't get policed out online very well. Like there's really little that police can do when it comes to online stuff.
Yeah,
No
okay.
one's sitting over their shoulder going, you shouldn't do that most of the time. They're doing it in their bedrooms and in like private spaces because we get sick of the screaming and the noises when they're gaming. We don't see or hear what's being said to them because we're not with them.
Mm,
We're not supervising. And these predators are really good. Like they've got scripts. They talk in dark web groups. They tell each other how to groom kids. They are hunting in packs. If one
mm,
predator has luck with a child and gets them, grooms them and gets intimate images from a child, they go and share it with the rest of them and say, "Here, try this one." So
wow.
they hunt in packs. They know what they're doing. They do it really well, and our kids are at risk every day.
Yeah. So how, like, what can we as parents then do to help protect our children if they're gaming? Because this is my conundrum at the moment. I've got two of my children that are at that age where it's how their friends are interacting with them. So it's like, okay, well, how do we navigate this? Because I never grew up with gaming. I'm not a gamer at all. So for me, it really is a whole new world, and I'm trying to educate myself as best I can and do what I can to keep my children safe. But I mean, to be honest, I just want to throw everything out and not and not do
I
it at
get it.
all.
Don't worry, I get it. I mean, look, I was a
Yeah.
detective dealing with kids every day who've been groomed online and had inadvertently been abused online. And then, I'm coming home and I've got a daughter who's asking for TikTok and Roblox and Fortnite and all of the things that her friends
Yeah.
were doing. So I do get it. And there is some, I can't say you can 100%. And my daughter has come back, a year later, 2 years later, she's 18 now, gone, yeah, people tried to groom me online all the time. And, but I knew what to watch out for. So I don't, I hope, I mean, we can never be 100% sure our children tell the truth. But, she knows what I do for a job, and she's been pretty open and honest. And we always had open and honest conversation. The reason being is that one of the things that most kids tell me when I was talking to kids regularly is that they never felt like they could talk to their parents about this stuff.
Mm,
That if they brought it up with their parents, they would overreact and ban devices. They would
yeah.
say, right, that's it, you're not doing that anymore, because we're scared for them, so we overreact.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get down on the level of, okay, this is not going away, this is something that won't change. How about we teach our kids what to watch out for first, and then
Yeah.
and help them. Like I look at online safety as a pool. So
Mm,
the online is the pool. When we teach our kids how to swim, we supervise them, we give them lessons, we put a fence around it to protect them so they can't be there if they can't get in when we're not around.
yeah.
We've got so many things in place to help our kids be safe around water, because we know that if they don't have that safety in place and they don't know how to swim in it, they could drown.
Yeah.
It's the same with the internet. So if
Mm,
we put a fence around it, okay, what's the fence look like? Okay, we have to go and set up, if we can, parental restrictions in place, blocking any private messages or private, anyone from Facebook. And, I had a fair, I've got some free stuff on my website, but I had a fairly strict, until she was 12, 13, I had fairly strict rules around what games and what things she could do. Did
yeah.
did it slip through when she went to her friends' houses? Yes, of course it did.
Yeah,
Did
that's
she
how they
come,
get around it.
did she come home and tell me she'd been playing Roblox at such and such's house? Yes, she did.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that she was able to come and talk to me because
Yeah.
we had enough conversations, and we had enough, like she had enough information to be able to stay as safe as possible on there. However, I'm sure there was possible situations that I couldn't keep her wrapped in cotton wool.
Yeah.
And I think from my experience and from what I know is that we can't wrap them in cotton wool. What we can do is prepare them, empower them, and make it safe for them to come and talk to us when something goes wrong. Because a lot of kids said to me, I can't go to my parents. Even 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, I can't go talk to my parents because they'll get mad at me. They won't love me anymore. They'll hate me. Like they'll take my device off me. And we forget, I
Yeah.
think as parents, we forget that we we stuffed up too. We did stupid things, but there was nothing on the internet because we didn't have phones and the internet when I was growing up. We
Yeah.
did stupid things too. this is their stupid sometimes, this is their, and they are under attack. I'm going to keep saying that they are under attack by these people. So we have to prepare them, which means that we put a fence around it, we put restrictions in place, we put time limits in place. They shouldn't be able to have 24/7 online because it's not good for their brain. And for as much, and my daughter, she hated it, but like she looks back on it now and she says, thank you so much. And it might sound like I'm making this up, but no word of a lie. I was over in Thailand with her for her 15th birthday, and I nearly drowned in the pool. I was swimming in the pool, and I'm very short, so I have to I can't touch the bottom. And she goes, Mum, I'm really glad that you didn't let me have social media before I was 13, back before the ban. And
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you made it so that I didn't have access without, support and supervision, etc. And I nearly drowned because I was like, what? She's
Oh.
like, because I had a childhood and I was safe, and so many of my friends didn't, and they didn't get to, keep younger. Like they didn't get a childhood because they were too busy worrying about what everyone else was doing online. So
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
yeah, so it will come back. The arguments, the fighting, the screaming, it does come back around.
Okay.
And
Let's
when
hope.
there is hope, I promise, and your kids will thank you. However, it doesn't make it any easier in the moment. So I had really strong rules around, when there were certain games that she wanted to play, they weren't to be connected to any kind of internet. Like for a long time, she just had to download a game and play it.
Yeah.
There was no private messaging within the game. There was no friend requesting within the game. If the game, and I always researched every game she was allowed to download. She
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to download anything without my permission or consent. I had to look at it. She'd go, Mum, can I have this game? And I'd be like, right, give me 10 minutes to have a look at it. I'd have a look at it, check it all out. There's a really good website called commonsensemedia.org, and
Okay.
you can look up reviews on games, for videos, shows, movies, all of the stuff, and it gives you reviews from parents and from kids to tell you whether it's age appropriate for, and whatever. And so I used to look at the Apple Store, look at the Common Sense Media. If I wasn't 100% sure, I'd download it myself, have a quick look at it, and then I would say yes or no. And she
Yeah.
knew that that was the process until she got to a certain age. Then, when she did get on Roblox, when she did get on Fortnite, because eventually, we had to upgrade into the next level of, okay, all the things, we got to, we got to risk it for the biscuit kind of thing. We got to know what we're going to do. So, that was then done with supervision. You had to do it in a public area of the home. I had to deal with the screaming and the yelling and the swearing from other friends when they were playing together. But to me, it was more important, to know the rules were, it's in a public area. I have to be able to hear your message, your voice chats.
Yep.
Because then I could identify whether there was a random stranger on there or not, or if it was a friend from school. If it got outrageously loud and too much swearing, I'd be like, wait, time to calm down, kids. Tone it down a little bit. I realized that it's a really exciting game, and then, and that was still time limited. You can't have, it can't be a free for all on those games. And then, the learning to swim, it was like sitting down every now and again and saying, oh, who's this friend? How do you know them? Where did you meet them? Have you ever met them in real life? And then having those conversations where I was like, oh, well, what could you do if someone asked you to? And here's the thing, what most predators do, they meet them in a game, they move them to another platform. They'll move them to a private messaging, because then they want to, oh, I'd love to get to know you better. Oh, let's message over here so that we can talk about the game, or we can talk about this. That's literally what Predator 101 tactics is, that, okay, let's move from the game to a private messaging app where I can get you alone, basically.
Yeah.
And, that's where they groom them more. They give them, and then they do the same thing. They stick a wedge between the child and their parents. If it's a preteen or a early teens, they might be talking about boyfriends and girlfriends. They might send them some porn and see what they do. They might, ask them if they've ever been kissed before. They talk about things that no one else is talking to them about. And but yet they're grooming them for the next part, which is, hey, let's share some photos. That's if they're only interested in kids. Then we've got the other part to it, which is sextortion, where they go from 0 to 100, and they trick our young people, especially our boys, into sending nudes by sending nudes first. And they literally biohack a young boy's defense of, oh, well, this is a stranger, I shouldn't do that, by
Yeah.
sending a nude of themselves first, which is not their nude. It's generally a guy behind the screen. It's an organized crime gang, and they send a nude of a young woman or a young person to the young boy, and then the boy, they're like, send me a nude, like, and
Yeah.
what boy isn't like, oh my gosh, I've got to do this because they've just sent me one, I've got to
Yeah.
do it back, and it biohacks their defenses. And then the next thing they know, within 10-15 minutes, they've sent a nude and they're being extorted for money.
Oh, wow. That's, yeah, it's full on, isn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely, it's a lot going on online. There's two, but the main two things that you need to know is you've got predatory online pedophilic predatory online people,
Yeah.
and then you've got the extortion people, the ones that are after money versus the ones that are actually after nudes of kids and
Yeah.
are interested in kids. So there's two different ways that it can go online.
Oh. I love how you've used that analogy of it being like the pool and the swimming and all the rest of it, though. I think that for me, the way that you've said that has really helped because, yeah, you're right. Like, even though I do feel like some days just throwing everything out the window and,
It's not
going
going
off
to help
grid.
anyone. I mean, I get 20-plus-year-old men contacting me about sextortion and asking what to do. So
Yeah.
our
Okay.
young men are under attack when it comes to sextortion, and like they're being, we've got a loan, as we keep getting told, we've got this male loneliness epidemic where young men can't connect with others. I mean, one thing I will say about this is we can't let our young men rely on their online life to keep them sustained.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how they connect with their friends, but we need to provide them other opportunities to connect. So it was always the rule in my house is that if you spend an hour online, you have to spend an hour offline.
Yeah.
So the rule was you choose when you want to spend that hour online, but you're going to do it in public. You're going to and what, you either spend the hour outside running around doing chores or whatever it is,
Yeah.
hanging with your friends in real life, or you
Yeah.
spend an hour, you choose when your hour comes up. And
Yeah.
then once that hour's over, I was very firm most of the time, unless it was for a catch up or a hangout with friends or whatever, then that rule might get extended. But one thing I did notice is that my daughter now, she's so painful. She doesn't answer any messages. She loses her phone 24/7. Like, she's so bad at keeping in contact, and it's because she doesn't spend time on her phone.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's great, though, in a way. Like, obviously
Yeah,
not your as a mum
yeah.
trying to
Like,
get in
I can
contact.
see where she is most of the time because we're able to keep an eye on ourselves. But like, she doesn't, when she's with her boyfriend or with friends, she's like putting her phone away, and she's not got it next to her and looking at it 24/7. So I think what's really important is, first of all, to set up really good boundaries around it. She was never allowed to have her devices in her bedroom for a very long time. All
Yeah.
devices were charged in the lounge room.
Mm.
And there was a very strong rule, is that, like, once it's bedtime, we don't go back on them.
Yeah.
We're like, there's no checking messages because our
Mhm.
kids need to sleep. And having a device in the bedroom, there's science and research around it. It actually is like connecting with your neural pathways, like that. It's energetically connecting with you. So
Mm.
you first of all, you can't sleep well. Second of all, who can sleep when it's pinging all the time?
Yeah.
And they're going to pick it up and they're going to look at it and they're going to get drained by the drama that is online life. So the rule was no devices in bedrooms, no devices charging in your room at night. And we have to have some time off. We got into especially in high school, we got into a bit of a uh, social media free Sunday, or like a device free Sunday, where we put
Yeah.
our devices in a drawer and hung out for the day.
Yeah. Actually
And just,
connected.
yeah, and just connected, played board games, and it kind of started because my daughter went into high school when COVID hit, so it kind of started in COVID, and it's continued since. So I block. I've got a device called a brick.
Oh, same. So
Yeah, and
good.
I block my social media and everything from 5 p.m. till 7 a.m. every day.
Oh, I
And
love
so,
that.
yeah, and like on weekends or on holidays, I block it so that I can have, like, because we get dopamine. Our kids get
Yeah.
dopamine. our devices are making us addicts, both us and them. And if we're aware of it and we're not helping our kids control it, understand it, then it's dangerous. Like it's
Yeah.
really, might as well give them a cigarette and let them start smoking, because that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And yeah, so the other, and look, I've been there, done it. That's why I've got a brick, because I can't do it on my own, right? And so I'm not like shaming anyone or telling you. I literally have to force a device to make me stop getting on there and looking at things and checking things. But the other thing that I will say is that we should never let our kids have their devices in bathrooms or bedrooms, especially because that no good happens when a device is in a bedroom or bathroom. Most of the cases that I saw in the police, the intimate photos were done in one of those spaces.
Yeah,
So
right.
if you think that that's if you think, okay, this is a high risk area,
Yeah.
and from a risk minimization perspective, then we have to reduce it by
Yeah.
not having them in there.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
one of my colleagues had a rule that if they had their device in their bedroom, it was for his teenagers, if they had their device in the bedroom door had to be open.
Yeah.
And if they were found with the device and the bedroom door not open, then he would take the door off.
Oh, I love it.
I know, a bit extreme, but he was like, this is where all the
Yeah.
danger exists for kids.
Yeah.
So
Especially because you guys were seeing it all the time as well. So it'd be like, nah.
yeah, so I mean, like, and you wouldn't let a stranger sit in your child's bedroom, and yet we let them have a device in our child's bedroom. So
Mm.
it's really important. And then the next thing is to have those conversations around, grooming. And
Yeah.
this, if anyone, do you know that there's people online that don't, they're there to, harm kids, ask
Yeah.
kids for, and if you've had those body safety talks from a young age or from whatever age your child is, then you can add in, if anyone ever asks you for a picture of your private parts, you come and tell me. You'll never be
Yeah.
in trouble. I'm here to help you. I can help you with that, because it's not for children to deal with.
Yeah.
There's some things that kids don't need to deal with, and I'm your mum. I'm here to love and protect you, and you'll never be in trouble. And the last thing I would say is to always talk to your kids and remind them. Doesn't matter if it's in person or online abuse, but the one thing that groomers tell them is, if your parents find out, they'll never love you again. They'll stop loving you. They won't believe you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So constantly remind your kids. You have to say it more than once. You have to constantly remind them, nothing you do or say will ever make me stop loving you.
Yeah.
I will love you no matter what, and I'm always here for you. My job, I might not always like what you do, but I will always love you. And so
Yeah.
reminding kids that, we are there for them. We are their safe space. We are there to help protect them, and we all make mistakes. My 18-year-old did something silly a couple of months ago, and I was like, oh my goodness. And she's like, Mom, I'm just learning. Like, I didn't know. And I was like, yeah, okay, babe. Like, it's
Yeah.
totally fine. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, I know. Now I
Yeah.
know better.
Oh,
So,
I
like,
love that.
normalize making mistakes as well. Normalize making
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, Christy, thank you so much. Like, honestly, what you shared is absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate you taking the time today to
You're
come and
welcome.
chat about all this as well. So, yeah, I know I've definitely got a lot out of it. So I'm sure the listeners will.
I'm glad. I'm glad. And like, it just, I don't know. The one thing I can ever say is that you can't stuff this up.
Yeah.
People are scared to talk to their kids because they think they'll say the wrong thing. One of the things I used to say to my daughter all the time, because hey, I was learning alongside when I was doing this as a job. I had a
Yeah.
young child and I was learning alongside it all. And she was my guinea pig, right? So I used to say to her, you know what? No one gives mums and dads a book to tell us how to do this stuff. So I'm learning. And
Yeah.
sometimes I make mistakes and I get it wrong. And I don't want, but and if I hadn't talked about something, or if I'd missed something, or if I felt like I'd stuffed something up, I'd say, you know I think I might have made a mistake by not talking about this. Or maybe I wouldn't use the word mistake. Maybe I'd say something like, is I realized the other day that I haven't actually talked about this yet with you, and that's my fault. I should have probably brought this up before now, but I didn't realize. So,
Yeah.
let's have a chat about this. And so, if anyone's listening to this podcast, you can always say to your kids, hey, I listened to this podcast with this ex-detective, and she told us that was talking about how we need to talk about XYZ, whatever the topic is. Don't choose them all at once. Choose one.
That's not overwhelming. Yeah.
Like one part of this and say, hey, I realized that I hadn't talked to you about online strangers.
Yeah.
And, how they can be there because they might be a nice person, but a lot of people aren't nice online. And they can say, they can be there to make kids feel good, but actually they want to get something from kids, whatever age they're at already. And the other thing so I used to say that to my daughter. I'd be like, guess what? I realized that I had a job today and I realized that I haven't talked to you about XYZ.
Yeah.
And, I kind of wish I had to talk to you before, but, what do you know about it? Like I always used to ask, what do you know about XYZ? And I used TV shows and radios when I was driving to school and I heard something on the radio about something. I'd use that as a conversation starter. Like, hey, did you just hear that? Like, wow, what could kids do if this happened? What would you do if this happened to you? So you're introducing it and you're turning everyday moments into teachable moments.
Yeah. So like a big serious, like, sort of conversation. Yeah. It's just like, oh yeah,
Yeah. And like the more, and like, it's so funny because my daughter, like I used to do it in the car a lot, like sitting side by side, best time to do it, laying side by side, when you're saying goodnight, reading a book to them, anytime or kicking a footy if you've got boys, like not looking them eye to eye. Don't sit across and interrogate them.
Yeah.
Really, I did interrogate people for a job. It's not really advisable because most kids are like, nah, I'm not talking. I'm in trouble. So
yeah, it's like
that.
Shut down.
Shut down. So do it when they are calm, peaceful, quiet. Come at it with we're learning together. And then, if they're really not sure, you just say, look, if you ever got any questions, you can always talk to me. I'm sorry that I've not brought this up before. I didn't know I had to talk about it. I didn't know how to talk about it. No one showed us.
Yeah.
And, just being humble. And it works really well with kids because they go, oh, mom. Like my daughter would come to me and she'd be teaching me stuff because she's like, have you heard this? Have you seen this?
You're like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe wish I had it, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. And I'd be like, oh, wow. And if I ever didn't know something, I would be like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Or if she was like a little bit iffy, I'd be like, oh, wow, have you heard about this? Oh, well, what do you know about it? And then let her try and explain it to me. And whilst in the meantime, my brain was like trying to work out how to keep up and like, talk about it the next part.
Yeah.
So it's okay. You can't stuff it up.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you as well. Because it's like, oh, my mind's kind of like, oh, lots to talk about now. And I love how you've said just to, keep it when it's in a more relaxed state as well. Because that eye to eye, it is very intimate.
Oh, who likes sitting there like,
yeah, talk to me.
But if anyone's got any questions or like scared to start the conversations, I do have some products. Like I've got the Conversations with Kids cards, which are like literally conversation starters that can help you with these conversations, talking around early warning signs, public versus private, secrets and surprises, all of the things. Mm-hmm. And then, I've got a online safety guide as well. Any of those things, they're really about just starting the conversation because believe it or not, you know more than you realize.
Yeah, awesome. And where can they find all these resources, Kristi? I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, just on my website at kristimcvee.com and then just look for the body safety products. There's the body safety cards. They're now printed cards as well. They come in like a little tarot card deck, some cards and stuff and a little guidebook. And then also the online safety guide is an online guide at the moment. But it's all there and I've got a podcast myself. I've got free resources, blog posts, like I've got it all there.
Yeah, so helpful. Thank you so much. And I know, like I said, this has been amazing chatting to you today. So I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Mindful Educator podcast. I would love it if you could help get the word out, either by leaving a review, sharing on your socials, or telling your friends, or even all three. If you would like to get in contact, head to my Instagram at the.victoria.r or my Facebook, Victoria R. My DMs are always open. Thanks again for listening, and I'll speak to you again soon.